Will you go out with me?
Sure.
That would be way too easy, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome back to Patch Bros.
No, not yet.
Oh, well, never mind. Don't.
Go away.
Potato, keep that in anyway.
Come back later.
Was... Okay. We just said shit on again. Welcome back to Patch Bros.
You were already back. You didn't leave, did you? I think the shit attracts the butterflies.
Is it that? We need to get shit on more often.
Trainer, train me.
Oh, I need to start the timer.
What are we doing?
It's up to you. You're the one that's been playing, dude.
Like the Forest of Rust Road.
This contracting area might be able to help. He's called
Bell Ringer.
Bellringer! Big dude, not too bright.
His house?
I was exploring in his house. I'm going now. I like that the trainer acknowledges that that's a weird thing. Like, why were you in his house? Okay, but Inside Out. Oh my god. I cried.
I saw that thing.
That thread on Facebook that was going on.
Yes. Down to the beach.
It's honestly the best movie I've seen in a while.
I mean, did you see Mad Max Fury Road?
No.
That was some good shit. I'm not trying to call into question Inside Out, obviously. But Mad Max is some good shit. Very different movies, obviously.
Yeah.
Alright, the big door. Are you ready?
But like, if you haven't seen Inside Out yet, what the fuck are you doing with your life? I need
Tombstone?
Whoa.
We're carrying our own tombstone!
That's creepy. But yeah, if you haven't seen Inside Out yet, first ask yourself what you're doing with your life. Next, ask yourself...
I'm gonna speed through these dialogues, you keep talking.
Okay.
We already talked to these guys earlier, but
it wasn't recorded.
Sake of...
Yeah. Oh, we only need like 12 more people. Anyway, so again, if you haven't seen Inside Out, go see it. Like, stop watching our video to go see Inside Out because, oh my god, it is amazing.
Well, check your local movie listings while you're watching the movie.
Yes.
Don't leave right away because you might get there and there's that awkward moment where you have to like, oh, well.
That happened to us. We went to go get tickets and they were all like, so there's a movie theater relatively near my house. As relatively meaning it's like 10 minutes away. We haven't been to that movie theater in months because there's one that's a little bit further away but is just nicer and is in a more like trustworthy area. Well, we went to the one that's closer to my house to go see Inside Out, and they completely redid it. And it's super nice now. And it's super nice, and it's like, I no longer feel uncomfortable being there after 8 o'clock at night, because like, now there's cops everywhere, and
Bellringer have fierce rep to protect, and me not like treacherous.
You not look treacherous.
Look treacherous.
So yeah, we got there and they're like, oh, they do reserved seating now.
Wow.
So yeah. So when we got there and realized that we had to go over to the other theater that's a bit further away to get our tickets. And we went over there and got our tickets beforehand so that we wouldn't have to so that the same thing wouldn't happen. And long story short, it was beautiful. Inside Out is a beautiful movie. I'm gonna talk about my favorite part in it, but it's not really a spoiler because I'm only gonna talk about like the art style.
Still, gonna say spoilers just in
Yes, just in case. So there's one point in the movie where it's like looking at it from like a design point of view and like a animation point of view. The animators clearly put it in just to show off their versatility as animators. But it's so well done. The art style completely changes like 4 times within like 2 minutes of the movie. But it's so good. And it's like, as someone that pays attention to that kind of stuff, I nerdgasmed. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Anyway, if you haven't seen Inside Out, go see it. Go see it.
Did you hear they're coming out with a Monkey Panda 3?
I did, because that's a movie that needed a third one in its series.
Hey, he's gotta meet his father.
Did you see Ted 2?
I haven't seen it, no. I also don't really plan to.
I mean, Ted was not a movie that needed a sequel.
But at the same time, that one wasn't apparently that one wasn't.
Hey.
Ted?
Or Ted 2 looks better. Or something like that.
I don't know, I'm just regurgitating what I've read on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's all anyone ever does, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do with your life. Yeah,
Hey, we're a gaming channel, let's talk about E3. Because I don't think any of us... Well, I think we mentioned E3 in Dark Souls, but I don't think we kept it in because our audio sucked. So let's talk about E3.
What about it?
What
should we start?
What made you happy? What, aside from Cloud?
Well, okay.
And aside from Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yes, 3.
Yeah.
4?
3.
I don't remember. Whatever.
No, it's 4.
It's the new Kingdom Hearts. There's going to be a new one.
I mean, clearly that is the highlight of all E3.
Yeah.
That. So let's... aside from that.
I'm going to actually list a disappointment.
Go ahead. I prefer listening to those, because everybody talks about what made them happy. I like talking about what you wanted to see and didn't.
Mostly, I was disappointed by Sony.
Okay.
Sony's presentation didn't
Care to expand?
present much. They just didn't... They did enough to, like, not be beat by Microsoft or whatever, you know? Which is always the goal of E3, is, like, be the better company that shows up. But for me, it was like, as a PS4 owner, it was kind of like, Microsoft is announcing all these new features, and a lot of them we're only doing this to catch up to the crushing defeat that Sony dealt last E3. But,
to Microsoft, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
To Microsoft.
Because
Sony won E3 last year. Like, by a landslide.
Between the two?
Yes.
Okay, because in my opinion, Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah. But keep going, sorry.
And so for me, it was kind of disappointing that Sony was just kind of basically maintained status quo. And, really, I'm just wanting them to start bringing back, like, do greatest hits type thing. Even with something as simple as, like,
like
3DS. Oh, yeah, always. But even like what 3DS is doing for Nintendo, where it's just an exact rehash of the same game or whatever, I'd be fine with that.
And now, see,
or somehow making it backwards compatible, which I know is, as a technology not super intelligent person, it's not just an easy hard drive thing to.
Yeah, it's not something you can just release a patch for.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to completely re-release the console.
But I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Or for them to start releasing
remake
stuff on the PlayStation Network.
Oh, okay. See, and I think...
And yes, I specifically want that, but personally because of Sly Cooper. I think those were such successful and good games that defines their early console that it's like, why wouldn't you?
See, in my opinion, I'm going to talk about the Nintendo presentation because that's the one I followed the most.
As a Wii U owner.
Correct. Yeah, I own a Wii U. I've always been a Nintendo fanboy. I own a Wii U, a 3DS XL, avid member of like Nintendo forums. You know, it's just what I am. You know, I follow the other consoles, but I don't own them. I invest most interest in Nintendo because I honestly, hate me if you want, I tend to prefer the Nintendo games. And the other side of that is I can't get Nintendo games on Steam. Most of the other games I can get on Steam, save for the exclusives, of course. But as a Wii U owner and a 3DS owner, I follow Nintendo's presentation pretty closely, and I felt like Nintendo set the expectations so high last year that there are only two ways that they could have done well this year at E3. That's interesting. One would have been to bring the open world Zelda, which they had already previously said that they would not talk about it at E3, or that they weren't bringing it. It's just disappointing that they didn't even mention it.
They weren't like, hey, this is a thing we're doing.
Yeah, they literally didn't talk about it at all. The biggest project that they're working on, they didn't even mention, which was interesting and very disappointing.
That's creepy.
But yeah, it's really creepy. It talks. Okay. Have you seen that thing that's like aliens describing humans for the first time? I'll have to try to find it on the internet.
That's really fascinating. That's something you can post in the comments if possible.
Yeah,
that sounds.
But it's very much like what he just said. They're made of meat, but they can talk. And they're like, what? That's impossible. Anyway,
Didn't talk about Open World Zelda.
Yeah, didn't talk about Open World Zelda, and they didn't mention the game that Retro Studios, the maker of Metroid Prime series, has been working on the past 2 years now. And instead brought up Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Oh yes, they did do that.
Which is, I mean, if I hadn't been expecting them to talk about a new Metroid Prime game, I'd be interested in Federation Force. It doesn't look like a terrible game. It looks interesting. I'm probably not gonna get it, but it looks like an interesting concept. It looks like an interesting game. It's not a Metroid Prime game. The other big thing, the other disappointment was that they gave their biggest title, like their biggest amount of talk time, to Amiibos and the new Star Fox game.
Which doesn't even... Okay, here's my thing about Star Fox. Because of the Nintendos... Oh my god.
Whoa.
Gosh. Of the Nintendo games, Star Fox is literally my favorite.
Okay.
And has been for a long time.
Okay. I respect that.
And that's just a personal preference.
No, yeah, I totally respect that. I personally have never played a Star Fox game. But I definitely see the appeal. My brother has Star Fox 3DS. And I've watched him play that, and I definitely see why you enjoy it. Just being someone that grew up on, like, Pokemon, I grew up with a different expectation from the game, basically.
Yeah.
But I definitely I understand where you're coming from with that.
But it feels like it's been a long time since they've made a good Star Fox game. And so I'm wary when they announce a new one.
Well, from what I know of the franchise, the last good one was the GameCube one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do remember that being released, and I do remember being excited about that one, because I genuinely thought it was cool and genuinely wanted that game. Because it was actually, I think it was the first Star Fox game where they had out-of-ship gameplay.
Yes, and that was the exciting thing, is
right.
You were on land and you got to take over the tank and you got to do everything.
Yeah,
essentially.
And you got to like walk around the base. And there wasn't like out-of-ship combat, but you could control Fox out of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
This game seems to be going back more towards. They didn't call it a reboot, but that's essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm.
They made it seem like they're making a bigger Star Fox 1 for the Wii U and basically relaunching the series with the old voice actors. Like, they're hiring all the people back. A lot of the same development team is on it. And they have, like, some of the same bosses. So it seems like they're essentially relaunching the franchise. And just doing it with a bigger game, because the N64 one was really just a small game because you couldn't have a lot of data on the cartridge.
Yeah, but it was actually a ton of fun to play.
Yeah, and it was a hard game too. That's Nintendo.
Well, and with a bunch of different.
Nintendo was notorious for making short games very difficult so that they seemed long.
Well, and what I was going to say, though, is with the N64 one, it had the multiple ending type thing.
Right.
Or the multiple paths.
Yeah.
That's the proper word.
Much like Ocarina of Time. And,
which made each playthrough potentially unique.
Exactly. Which is a really cool aspect.
Even creepier.
Oh, can we...
Hi, lady.
Let's
find all of them.
Continue exploring next time on Patch Bros.